The Galactic Council's proclamation echoed across 10,000 worlds. By unanimous decree, all stargates are hereby sealed. The human species has proven too dangerous to remain connected to civilized space. Ambassador Zethkari of the Hegemony watched the final gate collapse from his observation deck, its swirling blue vortex shrinking to a pinprick before winking out forever. Around him, delegates from dozens of species nodded in satisfied relief. The hairless bipeds from the third, planet of an unremarkable yellow star, were finally contained. "It is done," rumbled General Vorthak, his crystalline carapace gleaming. "The humans are isolated on their primitive world. No more will they spread their chaos through the galaxy." Zethkari's tentacles writhed with satisfaction. The humans had been a plague since first contact. Where other species took millennia to master interstellar travel, humans had reverse-engineered gate technology in mere decades. Where others respected the ancient protocols of warfare, humans fought with a ferocity that violated every civilized convention. They had turned diplomatic negotiations into aggressive expansions, trade agreements into hostile takeovers. Most disturbing of all, they never accepted defeat. When the combined fleets of 12 species had cornered the human expeditionary forces at Kepler 442, the humans had somehow turned certain annihilation into victory. They called it tactical flexibility. The Council called it madness. Now finally the galaxy would know peace. Dr. Sarah Chen stared at the collapsed gate matrix in the lunar facility, her hands clenched into fists. Around her, the greatest minds of humanity worked frantically at their consoles, trying to re-establish the connection they'd spent 2 centuries building. "Ma'am," called out Dr. Reyes from the quantum mechanics station, "the gate infrastructure is completely severed. They didn't just close it, they destroyed the quantum entanglement at the subatomic level. It's like they erased the very concept of connection." Chen turned to face her team, 200 brilliant scientists and engineers representing every nation on Earth. Behind them, through reinforced windows, she could see the blue marble of their homeworld hanging in space. "Beautiful, isolated, trapped. Then we build something better," she said quietly. Dr. Martinez from the Theoretical Physics Division looked up from his calculations. "Sarah, we've been cut off from the Galactic Quantum Network. Without access to their infrastructure." "We don't need their infrastructure," Chen interrupted. "We never did. We've been thinking too small, limiting ourselves to their technology, their rules, their understanding of what's possible." She walked to the central holographic display and began manipulating the 3-dimensional models. The stargates work by creating stable wormholes through folded spacetime, correct? But that's just one way to achieve faster-than-light travel. What if we stopped thinking about folding space and started thinking about stepping outside it entirely? The room fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems. Dr. Nakamura from the Quantum Computing Division was the first to speak. "You're talking about dimensional transcendence, creating a bridge not through spacetime but around it." "The mathematics are theoretically sound," added Dr. Singh. "But the energy requirements would be astronomical. We'd need to harness forces that make stellar fusion look like a chemical reaction." Chen smiled, and for the first time since the gates closed, she felt hope. "Then we'd better get started." 3 years later, Zethkari was enjoying a peaceful meditation when his aide burst into his chambers, all 4 eyes wide with panic. "Ambassador, you must see this. The humans, they've done something." Zethkari extended his consciousness to the sector monitoring stations, expecting to see perhaps some crude attempt at chemical rocket travel. Instead, his mind recoiled in shock. Where Earth's solar system had been, space itself was wrong. Reality rippled like disturbed water, and through those ripples something vast and impossible was emerging. It wasn't a ship in any sense that galactic civilization understood. It was a structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, its geometry shifting and folding in ways that hurt to perceive. As he watched, it began to unfold, revealing itself to be larger than gas giants, its surface crawling with what appeared to be entire cities. "How?" he whispered. The answer came as a transmission that bypassed every known communication protocol, appearing directly in the consciousness of every sentient being within 100 light-years. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Terran Dimensional Navy. You closed our doors, so we opened a window. Actually, we opened several billion windows. To every reality, every dimension, every possible configuration of space-time where intelligence exists. Across the galaxy, instruments designed to monitor three-dimensional space began registering impossible readings. Ships appeared from angles that didn't exist. Human colonies materialized on worlds that had been empty moments before, but the scans showed they'd been there for decades. You taught us that the galaxy wasn't big enough for humanity, Chen's voice continued. So we found a multiverse, that is. Thank you for the lesson in thinking outside conventional parameters. Zethkari felt his life's work crumbling around him as reports flooded in from every corner of known space. The humans weren't just back. They were everywhere, arriving from dimensions the galactic community had never even theorized existed. They brought with them technologies that made Stargate networks look like stone knives, sciences that redefined the possible, and most terrifying of all, they brought friends. Other versions of humanity from parallel realities. Humans who had evolved differently. Humans who had made different choices. Some were peaceful explorers. Others were warrior philosophers. Still others were beings of pure energy who had transcended physical existence entirely. But they all shared one trait, that uniquely human refusal to accept limitations. The final transmission that day would be remembered in galactic history as the moment civilization realized it had made a fundamental error. The door you couldn't comprehend wasn't the one we opened. It was the one you closed. You see, we've discovered something about the nature of reality itself. Barriers aren't meant to contain possibilities. They're meant to be overcome. And no species in any dimension has ever been better at overcoming barriers than humanity. As Zethkari watched human vessels phase in and out of dimensions like ghosts, establishing colonies in places that violated every law of physics, he realized the terrible truth. They hadn't contained humanity. They had liberated it.